We're going to take a quick step back to loops to revisit the break statement now that we have covered if statements. So going back to the 35 loops file in the arrays folder, let me open up that file so we can see where we left that off. And I just want to go back and look at the console logs that we left in this file, so I can show you how we're going to affect loops. So let's let that load up again. And one more time. Let's let that load up again with the console log. So Alex, Bob, Chris, and we're done with the while looping, right? And so that is coming out of, let's zoom in here and let's bring this over to the left. That graph we don't really need to look at too much. So this is coming out of our team members. So let's go look at what our team members looks like. Again, here's an array, and the array has a number of objects inside of it. And that array has 3 people inside of it. Alex, Bob, and Chris. Let's give these buddies an age, and we're going to say it's 21. And we're going to say the age is 23. And then we're going to say the age is 30. In fact, actually, I'm going to make Bob a youngster. There you go. He's 20. All right, so we got Bob, who's 20. So let's clean this up so that we can just focus on what we need to focus on. Let's make sure our loop is looping. All right, so our loop is looping. That's beautiful. We got a while loop, and this, again, is valid inside of a for loop nonetheless. What I want to do here, now that I found these particular objects, I'm going to console log them. I want to exit my loop. All right, and so if I just leave this loop right here, this break statement right there, I'm only going to process one statement, right? I'm going to process one statement there, and that's it. But what if I wanted to say that I wanted to break after I found Bob? Let's just say after I found Bob, that's my logic that I just came up with. If my current team member, that first name is equal to Bob, for some reason after I found Bob, I determined that I don't need a loop anymore. So I write that if statement. So that if I find anybody named Bob, I'm going to console log all the way up until them, and then I break. And I do no more looping. Okay? That might be a good valid reason to do that. And again, to illustrate this, if I change Bob to Robert, I have Alex, Robert, and Chris. And my if statement protecting, you can say that the if statement is protecting the object here in question. The if statement is protecting the break statement. So the break statement is not going to execute unless Bob is found. Okay, so we can do that there. Now, while I'm here, right, every now and then, there's going to be a preview of doing some null checks, because we're going to use our if statement as a null check. We can do, we're going to create another variable, we're going to say const. This constant is going to hold the type, the member type, right? We're going to say member, actually lowercase m for member, type. And we're going to use the type of operator. The type of operator is going to be executing on the current member. All right. So what does this look like when I output the member type as well? Over here in my log, I have Alex, object, 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 and then I'm done looping. Okay, good. Now, I could say as well, right, to combine this, I could say I want to make sure that my current member, my member type should be equal to object, and the first name is Bob, right? So this is gonna, member type, I knew I had taken it out, member type. So if the member type is object and the current member, that first name is equal to Bob, then I'm gonna go into here, right? Because I'm done, I'm breaking my loop. And then I'm gonna write an else if statement. So my else if statement is gonna say if member type, is not equal to an object, right? Then I'm going to break. Now, why did I do that there? Is because every now and then, right, something sneaks into our array. So if I put something inside of my array, like a number, what we're going to see is that this number doesn't have a first name. That's why this comes in as undefined. Okay, this comes in as undefined because the number 25 does not have a first name. For example, here's a 25, and if I output first name, it's look, I even get a invalid token exception here, error, right? So I get an error. And so what we're seeing here is that I have now used again the type of operator in the if statement to break out of my loop. And under this condition, I've simply made up a condition that says, hey, I'm going to break out of my loop if I found that potentially my array is somehow corrupted. I'm expecting people to be in here, but this is not actually a person, so let's get out of here. And one could argue that I should probably check. I should probably be making this check first before I do this check, right? That if I have a member type that's not an object, don't bother doing this operation, right? In fact, I could actually even do this. If my member type is not an object, break, and I'm not even going to bother logging. So now we're going to get rid of that other, else. Here we go. Let me put that right there. So Alex 1, Robert 2, I have the object, I got a number, and because I found the number, I'm going to break. And so you don't even see the console log here at the end. So again, another building block, the if statement within a loop. The if statement within a loop, this is how you're going to develop algorithms, right? The building the smarts into your logic, building the smarts intelligence into your code to make sure that it is running efficiently. And this is a really tiny example of saying, hey, I'm not even going to bother logging if I don't have an object. If I don't have an object, I actually want to exit the loop because there's something wrong. So this is actually, again, a completely overblown way to say it, but here is an algorithm, and we have simply optimized the algorithm and optimized the logging algorithm with respect to the members of this team, right? So that's a fancy way of saying it. Another way of saying is, hey, look, if I don't have a team member, I'm going to break. I'm going to exit the loop because I got nothing else to do in here. And so that was just a little going back to our loops to implement and to use our if statements inside of our loop.